This is Yemen, a nation currently experiencing one of the largest humanitarian crises worldwide within a civil conflict. In 2014, rebels seized control of the capital, Sanaa, leading to the government's exile. Shockingly, around 50% of healthcare facilities in Yemen are non-operational after 8 years of continuous war. Despite possessing 3 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, Yemen remains one of the most impoverished countries globally. This unfortunate situation stems from a nearly decade-long brutal war, resulting in the collapse of the government and economy, which has had severe consequences. UNICEF reports that approximately 21.6 million Yemeni people lack access to basic necessities such as clean water and health care. As is the case in most conflicts, the root cause can be traced back to politics. Yemen's internal and external issues contribute to its dire circumstances. Saudi Arabia, along with 9 allied countries, and Iran, though it denies involvement, play active roles in this conflict. Regrettably, Yemen has become a geopolitical battleground, with numerous foreign entities vying for influence. The question arises, why does this conflict, which has led to one of the worst humanitarian catastrophes in history, persist? The war in Yemen is a complex tale intertwined with decades of civil unrest, resulting from political and religious divides. However, it is also closely tied to a larger, lesser-known conflict, the Middle Eastern Cold War. If not for the rivalry between Saudi Arabia and Iran, Yemen would not be suffering as it is today. In this video, we will explore how the devastating situation in Yemen is an unfortunate outcome of the Middle East's Cold War, and we will also delve into China's unexpected efforts to resolve this conflict. Reporting on a war, particularly one as brutal as this, poses risks, as platforms like YouTube favor content deemed friendly. Thus, your support through likes becomes even more crucial for videos like this. Please take a moment to hit the like button, as it greatly aids this video's reach. When we hear the term Cold War, we often think of the 20th century struggle between the United States and the Soviet Union. It was a battle for global influence, with both superpowers backing opposing sides in conflicts around the world to gain supremacy. The Korean and Vietnamese wars serve as prime examples of these proxy wars. At present, another Cold War is unfolding, albeit on a regional scale. Saudi Arabia and Iran are engaged in a struggle for regional dominance in the Middle East. This mirrors the playbook of the well-known Cold War, with Iran and Saudi Arabia supporting opposing factions in conflicts throughout the Middle East, including Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. The key distinction between this Cold War and its predecessor is that it remains confined to the region instead of encompassing the globe. Before we delve into how this Cold War affects Yemen, we must first understand why Iran and Saudi Arabia hold mutual animosity. Religion plays a significant role in this regard. Although both countries are Muslim, they adhere to different branches, Iran being predominantly Shia and Saudi Arabia being predominantly Sunni. The tension arises from their differing claims to leadership in the Muslim world. Iran's supreme leader, the country's political and religious authority, perceives Iran as the head of the Muslim world due to its adherence to Shia traditions. Conversely, Saudi Arabia claims the same role because it is home to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina and adheres to Sunni traditions. With only one leadership position available, intense tensions arise. Another factor contributing to their conflict is their differing ideologies. Since its establishment in 1932, Saudi Arabia has been ruled by the Saudi monarchy, resulting in a stable and conservative political landscape. In 1953, the CIA and MI6 orchestrated a coup in Iran to safeguard their oil interests, installing a pro-Western monarchy under the infamous Shah. However, this arrangement faced opposition from many Iranians, leading to the Islamic Revolution in 1979, which replaced the monarchy with the supreme leader, a title held by the political and religious leader of Iran. This marked a significant shift towards an anti-Western stance, with Iran actively supporting the Islamic Revolution both within and outside its borders, challenging Western influence in the Middle East, led by the United States. Saudi Arabia, on the other hand, strongly opposes these actions. The United States remains its top military supplier, and while Saudi Arabia maintains partnerships with Western nations, Iran rejects such alliances. Iran's revolutionary ideology seeks to challenge what it perceives as illegitimate forms of government. Their success in overthrowing the Shah's monarchy in Iran has raised concerns for Saudi Arabia, as they fear similar revolutions within their own borders. Saudi Arabia represents the status quo, while Iran embraces a more revolutionary approach. Both countries vie for leadership in the Middle East, each harboring distinct visions for the region. This volatile dynamic has fueled conflicts in several countries, including Yemen. Similar to Syria and Iraq, Yemen has become a battleground in the proxy war between Iran and Saudi Arabia. The two nations support opposing factions in the Yemeni conflict. Yemen holds strategic significance for both Iran and Saudi Arabia. Situated alongside the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a crucial maritime route linking the Red Sea and the Arabian Sea, Yemen occupies a vital position on the Arabian Peninsula. The strait facilitates the passage of numerous ships, serving as a convenient and expedient route for trade between the Indian Ocean and the Mediterranean Sea. Approximately 10% of global trade traverses this strait, making it a highly valuable asset worth trillions of dollars. In addition to its strategic location, Yemen itself presents an opportunity for Iran and Saudi Arabia to expand their influence. Both countries view Yemen as a prize to be won. Iran seeks to assert its regional presence, while Saudi Arabia aims to maintain its dominance. This power struggle between the two has enmeshed Yemen in a devastating conflict. The consequences are dire for the Yemeni people, who bear the brunt of a humanitarian catastrophe. As the situation in Yemen worsens, it becomes evident that the root cause lies in the geopolitical rivalry between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Their differing religious and ideological perspectives, combined with strategic interests, have fueled this ongoing conflict. The plight of Yemen serves as a stark reminder of how regional Cold Wars can wreak havoc on nations and innocent lives caught in the crossfire. Imagine the immense authority one holds by controlling a vital waterway. The global impact of the 6-day blockage of the Suez Canal in 2021 demonstrated the severity of supply chain disruptions. Considering that the Bab el-Mandeb Strait is a crucial passage for ships connected to the Suez Canal, one can only fathom the repercussions of intentionally obstructing this strategic route. Iran and Saudi Arabia, vying for regional dominance, have a keen interest in controlling the strait and Yemen's principal seaport, the Port of Aden. This port holds tremendous significance, boasting one of the largest natural harbors worldwide, ranking among the top 5 globally. Historically, it was even the world's second busiest port until 1950. Undoubtedly, the port's potential makes it a coveted asset for any power seeking regional hegemony. Moreover, Yemen's proximity to Saudi Arabia renders it a crucial pawn in the Cold War dynamics between the two nations. Iran's control over Yemen would grant it a significant military advantage over Saudi Arabia, akin to the Cuban Missile Crisis, but on a smaller scale. Naturally, Saudi Arabia cannot afford to have such a crisis erupting near its borders. Adhering to Sun Tzu's principle from The Art of War, Saudi Arabia took matters into its own hands by deploying troops to Yemen. Yes, Saudi Arabia dispatched its own forces, exemplifying the extent of this ongoing Cold War. Now, delving deeper into the Yemen conflict, it was already a failed state even before the commencement of the modern-day civil war in 2014. President Ali Abdullah Saleh, known for his corrupt reign of over 30 years, was estimated to have embezzled $260 billion. Consequently, Yemen's citizens endured poverty, suffering, and hunger, fostering discontent among the population. In 2011, inspired by the Arab Spring protests, the Yemeni revolution erupted as anti-government demonstrations initially, but swiftly escalated into a full-scale war between Saleh loyalists and opposition forces. The streets became battlegrounds as peaceful protesters were slain, and different tribal militias clashed with government forces. In a near-fatal assassination attempt at the presidential palace, President Saleh received a stark reminder of his waning popularity. Consequently, he agreed to transfer power to his vice president, Hadi, in 2012. Nonetheless, widespread dissatisfaction persisted among Yemenis as Hadi's election victory, in which he stood as the sole candidate, lacked legitimacy. Tensions further escalated in 2014 when President Hadi decided to cut fuel subsidies, leading to the Houthi militia's takeover of the capital, Sanaa. Thus, the civil war erupted in earnest, with the Houthis establishing the Supreme Political Council and confronting Hadi's internationally recognized government. Notably, many countries, including the United States and Saudi Arabia, believe the Houthis to be proxies of Iran. Evidence points to direct military support from Iran to the Houthis, as they both adhere to Shia Islam. While Iran's supreme leader publicly expressed spiritual support for the Houthis, he denies direct military involvement. President Hadi, however, remains unconvinced and vows to restore Yemen's flag in Sanaa, symbolizing independence from Iranian influence. Unfortunately for President Hadi, the Houthis were not his sole adversaries. The former President Saleh, alongside the Houthis, vehemently denounced and criticized Hadi, calling for his removal from power. Simultaneously, separatist groups in the southern region of Yemen, yearning for independence, capitalized on the chaos and joined the conflict. The southern movement loosely aligned with Hadi's government initially to counter the Houthi advance, but eventually took control of multiple provinces that were under Hadi's authority. Naturally, this displeased the president. Adding to the turmoil, the terrorist organizations Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula and the Islamic State exploited Yemen's instability to expand their influence within the country. Hadi's government gradually lost its grip on power, plunging Yemen into utter disarray. The complexity of the situation is evident as multiple factions and organizations vie for control. Yemen has become a fragmented battleground, divided into three main camps. The Houthis maintain control over the north, including the capital city of Sanaa, with suspected support from Iran. In the south, the southern movement, aligned with the Saudi-led coalition, asserts its authority. Amidst this intricate web of conflict, the dire consequences unfold, with a crumbling healthcare system, widespread malnutrition, and contaminated drinking water further exacerbating the humanitarian crisis. The war's toll is staggering, with an estimated loss of approximately 377,000 lives, directly and indirectly affected. Yemen remains fractured, with a long road to recovery ahead. These internal conflicts are intertwined with the larger Middle Eastern conflict, with one side aligned with Iran and the other with Saudi Arabia. Hence, the Yemen conflict is often referred to as a proxy war, as both Iran and Saudi Arabia vie for influence in the country, fearing their rival gaining control. This situation is detrimental to Yemen, as the civil war will persist until the Middle Eastern Cold War is resolved. However, there is a glimmer of hope as the Cold War seems to be reaching a turning point. The recent agreement between Iran and Saudi Arabia, facilitated by China's mediation in secret, signals a momentous development in the Middle East. The restoration of diplomatic ties between the two adversaries holds the potential to bring an end to the stalemate that has plagued the region for the past 7 years. It also raises questions about the motives behind this reconciliation and China's role in the Middle East. The potential resolution of the Yemen conflict lies in the cessation of support from Iran to the Houthis and Saudi Arabia to Yemen's government and the southern movement. Recent talks between Saudi and Houthi officials regarding the rebuilding of Yemen, the reopening of ports and airports, and the withdrawal of foreign forces provide hope for an eventual end to the 9-year war. It appears that both Iran and Saudi Arabia are reconsidering their stance on the war, realizing the futility and the absence of clear winners in prolonged conflict. Furthermore, China's involvement in the region plays a significant role in this policy shift. China, driven by its need for oil and its desire to expand its influence, aims to cultivate friendly relations in the Middle East and avoid taking sides in the Iran-Saudi Arabia rivalry. As the largest trading partner of both nations, China's economic leverage allows it to exert pressure on Saudi Arabia and Iran to cease their hostilities. China's leader Xi Jinping has two motives for pursuing peace in the region. Firstly, it is a means to enhance China's soft power, as being seen as a global leader requires the approval of the international community. By mediating peace between Iran and Saudi Arabia, China seeks to improve its standing in the eyes of Middle Eastern nations, bolstering its soft power. Secondly, China's business interests in the region have suffered due to the conflicts sparked by the Middle Eastern Cold War. China aims to make significant investments in post-war reconstruction and development in Yemen, viewing it as an opportunity for economic gain and increased influence. It brings the possibility of ending one of the deadliest conflicts of the 21st century and fostering stability in the region. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe and enable notifications to be alerted of future informative videos.